The US presidential election isn't as straightforward as winning the popular vote. Picture this. Founding fathers, powdered wigs, debating how to elect a leader. They landed on this system where each state gets a certain number of electors like points in a very high-stakes game. This system dates back to 1787. Back then, they didn't trust regular folks to make big decisions, so they created this extra layer. The idea was to balance the power between big states and small states, like a weird political seesaw. But here's the kicker. A candidate can win the popular vote, but still lose the election by losing the Electoral College. It's happened a handful of times, most recently in 2016. Fast forward to today and the Electoral College is still around, stirring up controversy and sparking debates. Some folks love it, some folks hate it, but one thing's for sure, it keeps things interesting. Remember that whole watching a slow-motion train wreck feeling? Well, in 2020, things got a little too close to an actual train wreck. The election was messy, with challenges, disputes, and confusion about how the Electoral College votes were counted. So Congress decided to do something about it. Enter the Electoral Count Reform Act of 2022, a bipartisan effort to make the vote counting process clear. This act was like a referee stepping in to say, "All right, folks, let's play by the rules." One of the biggest changes was clarifying the vice president's role. Now, their role is strictly ceremonial, like a wedding officiant who just announces the happy couple. The act also made it harder for Congress to object to a state's electoral votes. These changes might seem small, but in the world of politics, they're huge. The Electoral Count Reform Act was all about making the vote counting process less dramatic and a whole lot more boring. All right, buckle up, because we're about to dive into the nitty-gritty of the 2024 Electoral College timeline. First up, Election Day. This year, it fell on November 5th, the day when Americans across the country cast their votes. But here's the thing. When you vote for president, you're not actually voting directly for the candidate. You're voting for a group of electors who promise to vote for that candidate. After Election Day, each state counts its votes and figures out which candidate won. Then they send a document called a Certificate of Ascertainment to Congress. Next up, the electors meet. On December 17th, each state's electors gather to officially cast their votes for president and vice president. And finally, their grand finale, the vote count in Congress on January 6th, 2025. Well, folks, the votes are in, counted, and recounted. The 2024 presidential election was one for the history books, full of surprises and nail-biting moments. The final score, Donald Trump emerged victorious, reclaiming the Oval Office after a 4-year hiatus. Trump secured a decisive victory in the Electoral College, racking up 312 electoral votes to Harris's 226. But hold on a second, because here's where things get interesting. Over 75 million Americans cast their ballots for Kamala Harris, a truly impressive showing of support. Trump, on the other hand, garnered just over 77 million votes. While Trump ultimately emerged victorious in the Electoral College, Harris won the popular vote by a slim margin. The 2024 election was a roller coaster ride from start to finish, a political thriller that kept the nation on the edge of its seat. And as the dust settles, one thing is clear. The Electoral College continues to shape the destiny of American democracy.